Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Some very interesting developments. I think this might be a little sneaky move for the Russians, but let's read the article and then we can talk about it. And this article comes from a Ukrainian source that is going to be citing a Russian source. So this first is Ukrainian source, Ukrainska Pravda, September 28, 2022. Kremlin decides not to rush annexation of occupied territories of Ukraine. So, from the title, remember they said, well, we're going to do this these referenda now in a hurry. They were done in a hurry. You might think, why? Why in a hurry? Well, because the guys were advancing, right? Otherwise, they would have held it later. Anyway, they did it now. You said, okay, what are they going to do? We're going to do it so we can recognize them and we can incorporate them. And then Ukrainians, if they attack these territories, will be attacking Russia, right? But then they said, well, what's going on now? If those guys are on our territory, are we going to use nuclear weapons? Or are we going to use the mobilized reservists to kick them out? Well, we'll see what decision these guys made. The Kremlin has decided not to rush the official accession of the occupied territories of Ukraine to Russia and to postpone the closing of Russia's borders. The latter decision was approved in light of the growing discontent with mobilization among Russian citizens. I don't see what one has to do with the other one. The source is Meduza, a Russian media outlet, citing sources close to the Russian presidential administration. So let's go and see how things work actually, right? So we know what I'm talking about here. So we have here that according to the Russian law, the procedure for the annexation of new territories to the Russian Federation is as follows. Russia must first recognize Kherson and Zaporozhye oblasts as independent states, as it has done in the case of DPR and LPR in the beginning of the full-scale invasion. Well, they can do it right now, and then next second they can do the next move. Then Putin and heads of all territories that are to join Russia must conclude and sign agreements, which must be reviewed by the Constitutional Court of the Russian Federation. Now, the accession must be approved by the State Duma and the Federation Council, the lower and the upper house of the Federal Assemblies, Russia's parliament, respectively. Finally, Putin must approve his own decision on the annexation of these Ukrainian territories. Okay, it's going to take longer, so it's not going to be a day. It's going to be weeks, maybe. Background. Russia may announce the accession of the occupied areas of Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson and Zaporozhye Oblast on the 30th of September. Valentina Matvienko, the chair of the Russian Federation Council, the upper house of the Federal Assembly, Russia's parliament, has stated that the Federation Council may consider the matter of the accession of occupied Ukrainian territories to Russia on October 4th if the results of the referendums are positive. And Vyacheslav Volodin, Speaker of the Russian State Duma, the lower house of the Federal Assembly, also announced that the session on the accession of the Ukrainian territories will be held on the 3rd and 4th of October. So, by the 4th will be this voting. Bilateral agreements must be done, and then Putin must sign. So it's not going to be the 1st of October, the day of infamy. So let's see what these guys are saying, the Meduza. Alright, so it says here that Meduza sources says that the Kremlin has decided not to rush things. because the accession of Ukrainian territories to Russia will have nearly negligible PR effect against the backdrop of the Russian citizens' discontent with mobilization. The sources that, I don't know what has one to do with the other one. If that doesn't have any impact, do it. Doesn't help, doesn't, make things worse. And you take care of this stuff. So there's two different matters. I don't know why they're connected. The source says that everything will get annexed, but without great rush. The Kremlin has not yet convinced Russian citizens that Russia needs those territories at all, they added. At the same time, one of Medusa's sources, a person close to the Kremlin, suggested that the delay is the official accession of the Ukrainian territories to Russia might be caused by the fact that the Russian government wants to leave some leeway for negotiations with Ukraine and Western countries. This is important, this paragraph. The source added that Russian President Vladimir Putin believes he had nothing to discuss with President Zelensky because he was allegedly a quote-unquote puppet of the West. You got that right. So the Kremlin might propose that Russia keep Crimea and the territories of DPR and LPR, the Russian-controlled self-proclaimed Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic, with the current borders. Russia might recognize Kherson and Zaporozhye Oblast as states with Russian troops on their territory. This is an acceptable scenario for the Russian government. So Medusa reported that despite these delays and equivocations, pro-government Russian parties, in particular Edinia Rossiya, United Russia, and ruling party, are preparing to open their branches in the annexed territories of Ukraine. So the conclusion here is they are delaying because of bureaucracy and the steps that they have to take. Well, it feels like this. They never said, Nobody said, like legally, there were some, I can't remember if it was Volodin, when he said, well, we're going to recognize them, and then Putin is going to show up in front of the Duma, and he's going to have a little speech, he's going to sign it, and on the 30th will be done. And now they say, wait, they're going to follow the process. But if Putin is this dictator, why is he following all these processes? Why is he not saying, shall be done like this? And everybody says, yes, Mr. Putin. Because that's how we're told things work in Russia. Or he's just pretending, gives like everything is a pretense. That is this, everything is fake. It's so fake that it's real. I mean, if Putin has to fake it so much, it is a democratic system. By faking it so many times, it's a democratic system. It's a system based on rule of law and on policies. I mean, imagine that I'm a criminal. You say I'm a criminal, and I follow the law today, and I follow the law tomorrow, and I follow the law the entire week, the entire month, the entire year. That means I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm not a criminal, that means, right? Because for a year, I didn't break any laws, like you, like him, like whatever. So the same with Putin. If he follows all these things just because he pretends for a period of time, that means the country has fulfilled its, democratic and just based on law system. So these things are just bogus. We know they are just made up to portray this guy as this and that. I mean, he's got his sins, but you know what I mean? They try to equate him with pure evil and all that. I don't believe that. I mean, like any other person on this planet that he lived or is alive or will be alive in the future. We have goods and bads. It's not like, oh my God, it's all bad. It's all good. I mean, this is childish. So anyway, what's going to go with this thing? Now, I don't want to be I will be. I'm going to look at this like a weasel, okay? Over this, like I'm a Russian weasel. And I say, well, we tried everything with these threats. We have the Ukrainians over there. We kind of put ourselves in a corner. So that means if we recognize everything as we said we will, and then the Ukrainians are on the territory of Russia, we have to use any means necessary. So what are going to be the means that we're going to use? Those guys, the Ukrainians, are still going to come. And the Americans and the West, the NATO, will provide them with everything. They said with tanks, with airplanes, with everything. Everything is on the table. They said nothing is off the table. They didn't say nuclear weapons, but they said nothing is off the table. So that means Russia strategically and militarily will probably lose or have more, more losses. So then they pin themselves in a corner. The Ukrainians are going to continue, the Americans and the NATO, all these guys, I will say collective West, will continue to go in, and Russia will do what? Mobilize 300,000. If up to 300,000 is so unpopular, what do you think how popular it's going to be when it's going to say 20 million? Full mobilization. What do you think how popular that would be? Because only with that we'll be able to push these guys back. That's my 99% assessment. Russia will not be able to push these guys with the 300,000 people that they are mobilizing like this. Or we shall wait and see what changes. And if Russia cannot push them back, and they're still in where they are right now in playing cards, hanky-panky, nothing, then I don't know what to tell you. Because at one point they can postpone saying that's part of Russia because they will not use nuclear weapons. That's what they're not going to use it. Otherwise, they will say, well, we do it today, we'll do it by the 5th of October, their guys are over there, boom, that's it. But they're not going to do that. Even though the Western said, well, be careful, we're going to do this to you, we're going to do this to you. When an atomic bomb is dropped, or nuclear bomb is dropped nowadays, what do you think the other side is going to do? Drop nuclear bombs on Russia? And the other guy, see ya, meet Jesus. Yeah, okay. So maybe the Russians said, well, are we going to use nuclear weapons or not? I don't think so. So then think of something else. Oh, we're going to postpone it for now because we have this procedure and we're not should be in the rush, in a hurry, because the population doesn't agree with the mobilization, but doesn't have anything to do with this. It's not ready. The population, Russian population, is not ready with territories. Really? I don't think so. But anyway, might be this kind of thing. I think we pushed it too far. But we'll find out, right? Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.